Hello, my name is Vincent, and you're watching The Perspective, a program that brings to you a variety of information from a wide spectrum of concepts and ideas. It's a thing of joy that we have seen the new year, 2024, just a year that promises to be very prosperous for us, and we're going to experience a lot of growth, development, and progress, not just as individuals, not just as countries, but as a continent. Like we said in the video that we shot last week, this year 2024 promises to be so amazing for not just Maple Research Institute, but also the Perspective program. We'll be bringing to you live updates once every week concerning developmental opportunities and points and areas of progress for the continent of Africa, especially as it concerns the responsibility of the youths and the contribution that the teeming population of Africa's youths can contribute to the sustainable development goals, and also to ensure that we are part of the wheel of progress to push our continent to a better place. So welcome to 2024. This is the first video that will be dropping in 2024, and it's going to be about the medium and short-term forecast of economic development for the continent of Africa, as was released on the 23rd of November by the Africa Development Bank. So the Africa Development Bank is one of the strategic banks in the whole of Africa that is charged with the responsibility and the charter to drive development and to drive economic growth through the application and utilization of instruments and investments, both to private and public private and public sector, in order to be able to catalyze growth. So on the 23rd of November 2023, Africa Development Bank released the following as their forecast for 2024 rather, for the development of Africa. So the medium-term macroeconomic forecast for Africa by Africa Development Bank, they are projecting that before the end of 2024, it's very, very likely that the economic growth of Africa is going to move to 3.4% on a regional basis. At first, they projected a 3.8% growth, but it was now reduced to 3.4% growth due to other issues and metrics that came up that they put into consideration. So the reason why we are going to be experiencing such not so much of economic growth is still due to supply chain management issues following the COVID-19 pandemic that affected and disrupted supply chain management. Now, somebody will say, how does COVID-19 affect supply chain management? Now, you have to look at it from this perspective. Africa predominantly imports all of its commodities and goods. Africa is an import-dependent continent. So we know that during the COVID-19, there was a global lockdown where all the economies of the world started postulating a protectionist protectionist approach, where people were not exporting stuff. So those period where countries were not exporting stuff affected the economy of Africa, and we are just gradually coming back from this from the effect of this global shutdown of the economy and supply chain system of the world economies and interdependence of countries in the area of trade. So to look at it from that angle, that is going to affect Africa in the next 12 months. We're still going to be reeling from the effects of COVID-19. And just as COVID-19 was, the restrictions were being lifted and economies were opening up, selling stuff outside of their borders. Immediately, we were hit by the Ukraine war. So, secondly, there is a projection that the Russia and Ukraine war is also going to affect Africa's economy by a very considerable percentage. And now why is this? Because Africa predominantly imports their grain and wheat from Ukraine and from Russia. So now if you look at it from that perspective, you will know that because of the global sanctions on Ukraine and the global sanction on Russia rather, for the war that is going on in Ukraine right now, a lot of international carriers, major international carriers that are supposed to be doing business with these countries have stopped doing business, and as such, suppliers and importers of grains that are supposed to import grains from this country and sell to local economies in Africa cannot do this. Now, what does that tell you? It tells you that there is a big opportunity for agriculture in Africa. It has come like the president of Africa Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesanya, said, it is time for Africa to feed itself. Africa must feed itself. So in 2024, if you are looking for a business opportunity to do in Africa that cannot fail, you cannot go into the business of farming and fail. It is not possible. It is not possible for you to farm in Africa and fail. There is no way it's going to fail. So you're looking for a business opportunity. You're looking at investments because you have funds in your account that you don't know where to diversify your funds to. Look at the area of agriculture. So that's the second reason why Africa is going to be experiencing some little delays in economic growth in the year 2024. So not just is this challenges, but there are also, every challenge, like they say, is an opportunity. So youths, go look at development banks, look at financial institutions that have many forms of trainings and many forms of grants towards incentivizing the youth to enter into the business of farming. I know that the Bank of Industry in Nigeria has a very large portfolio for of funds that have been set aside, and also training and capacity building programs for youths who want to enter into agriculture, because they know that the rate of return is going to be very high. So agriculture is very key in the year 2024. Now also, the second reason why we are going to be experiencing a little that the GDP is not going to be growing to a very considerable percentage like it did in the year 2019 and also 2018. We are at 4.3% GDP growth for the whole of Africa. But in 2024, they say we are going to be experiencing 3.4%. So it's a one-digit reduction. Now, why is this? They say because of regional tension. As you see, all over Africa, there are regional tensions. The recent being the war that is happening, the war that is happening in Sudan, the whole of Sudan now, with the war that is happening, and the war that is also happening in Ethiopia between the Tigray people and the government of Ethiopia, and a lot of other splinter groups that are coming out of this war. We are looking at a possible slowdown of economy in these places. We also know of coups and counter coups that are happening in Gambia, in Mali, in Burkina Faso, and recently in Niger. These coups have a way of affecting economies because international businesses are going to be skeptical of entering into economies that have volatile leadership structure and political environment. So that's also an opportunity for youths to prove themselves. What do you need to do in 2024? Start a program in your area, in your environment, that talks about truth and reconciliation. It's very important. And especially for us here at Maple Research Institute, we have, through research and also through inspiration, been able to discover that one of the major problems that make Africa to always not experience sporadic and sustained development is due to some issues that are just beyond economic metrics and also economic socioeconomic issues that are readily recognizable by the normal intuition or observation. So in your local community, begin to start programs in the year 2024 that aims at truth, that aims at reconciliation, that aims at bringing peace among communities. Now, farmers can't go to the farm in a lot of areas in Africa, and especially in West Africa. Why? Because of terrorism, because of insecurity. Now, when farmers can't go to farm, it has a ripple effect. So it's not just international, it's not just external factors that affect the economy. Maybe you say inflation, or maybe the price of commodities, or the price of oil in the international market. These are not just the things that are affecting Africa's economy. We also have homegrown issues, which especially is this our inability to live at peace with ourselves. So if you're going to sit down in the year 2024 as a youth and say, I want to start a development program that looks at, I want to reconcile this village to this village that have been fighting for the past 200 years. What is the root cause of this communal clash? Why is it that there are sporadic fights and that bring about the shedding of blood? And we know wherever there is shedding of blood, there cannot be development. There cannot be sustained development where there is no security, because it is peace, justice before prosperity. So that's also something to look at as a youth in the year 2024. So also climate shock. Now, Africa, like they say, contributes like less than 4% of global greenhouse gas, but also is affected by more than 50% of the effects of global climate change. Now, it's affecting our agriculture. It's affecting the sporadic droughts, flooding that we have seen all over Africa, flooding in Ethiopia, flooding in Nigeria recently, my own home country. These are issues that can be tackled with sustained development, sustained advocacy, and trainings, and looking at alternatives, and also investment from governments, investments by our government to ensure that climate-related infrastructures are put in place in order to be able to absorb the shock of the effects of climate change, which disrupts not just economic activities, but also supply chain. That is very, very important for the development of a country. So both on country level and on regional level, there needs to be sustained advocacy. We need to have sustained advocacy towards climate sensitive investments by our government. Youths need to organize and understand, just like they do in Europe. We need to understand, because we have not seen a lot of sustained advocacy and push from African youth, especially as it concerns climate change. But we have also seen a lot of the shock of climate change and the effects of climate change on our economy. So in 2024, if you want to start something as a youth in Africa, you can look at advocacy for expanded or maybe scaled up investment in the area of climate related development. So start up a group, do your research, go to the government, find out what are they doing concerning Soso village that was affected by flood in the past 3 weeks, in the past 1 month. What are they doing about internally displaced people? These are things that you can look at. And with the little that we can do, we are causing change, and we are causing we are causing development to come to our continent and also for our individual countries. And we've spoken about the war in Ukraine, and then the elephant in the room, which is the oldest reason why economies are always not moving forward, which is global oil prices. So we know that with the war in Ukraine that affected global oil prices as well, that some of our countries in Africa, especially my country of Nigeria, didn't take advantage of that window where prices were skyrocketing at about almost $150 per barrel. And but right now things are beginning to stabilize, economies are opening up, and it's looking like peace is about to come between a negotiated peace or negotiated ceasefires is about to come between Ukraine and Russia. And we believe that with this, the global economy is going to be stabilized, and in that way countries that have done their fiscal budget based on a particular peg or a particular price of mono economies that depend on export, like Nigeria, that depend on the export of crude oil for the funding of their budget, will be able to have some sort of breather to be able to fund their budget deficits, pay their loans, and then have some money by the side to be able to take care of pressing needs and pressing issues. So to quickly wrap up what we just talked about, like I said, this data was released on the 29th of November 2022, and it's a forecast for 2023 rather, and it's a forecast for the 2024 economic outlook for our continent. Also, we saw an advisory that came out from the Harvard Business Review for development indices for Africa, especially our 43%. Africa, by the year 2035, African youths are going to contribute to 43% of global population. So we have a very large youth population. How do we tap into the potential of this human resource? They say training, education is very important. So our countries and our individual government, based on country level and also on the regional level, need to look at expanding investment in the area of education, especially tertiary education, and the development of skills. So training is very important in the year 2024. If you've not had any form of professional training as a youth in this age and time, you are joking. You're not doing your part to contribute to the development of your continent. So we are looking at, that is why at Maple Research Institute we are looking at partnering with governments, and we are looking at partnering with international organizations like IBM. We are looking at partnering with Microsoft Azure. We are looking at partnering with Google as well to bring training to Africa, off-the-shelf trainings and also specialized trainings are very, very important in order to be able to skill up our labor force, in order to be able to attract jobs both locally and internationally. So for that reason, we will be starting our program. Maple Research 2 will be starting her program under the that we call Project Incubator Pro, that is looking at training 200,000 African youths before the year 2028. We are looking at training and certifying 200,000 youths before the year 2028 with globally recognized IT certifications and trainings. So please stay tuned. We'll be bringing you more information on that. And also, this will also lead, during this training, we will also pair them with mentors from around the world and see if we can be able to open opportunities, expanded opportunities for paid or unpaid internships, so that they can be able to have global training, global experience, and attract global jobs. Now, training is very important. So as a youth, you can look into that. And last but not least, like I said, we cannot emphasize agriculture enough. Africa cannot experience sustained growth if Africa. That's why I love the present president of Africa Development Bank in the person of the distinguished Akinwumi Adesanya, I think Adesanya or Akinsonya, where he said Africa must feed itself. You cannot develop your continent when you are hungry. It's not possible. We cannot shy away from agriculture. Look at all the economies of this world started as agrarian economies. Any economy that has in it as its foundation an agrarian system can never go down. It can never go down. So thank you so much for giving me your time. Go out there in 2024, succeed. You have what it takes to make it. African youths are blazing the trail all around the world, both in sports, in music, and in academia, in all areas. So I believe that we have the seed of what it takes to make a difference in our continent. Thank you for your time and have a blessed 2024. Succeed, and let's see Africa come up to what she has been planned and designed to be. Thank you very much. Peace.